Have you ever looked around and felt like society is just this giant, unfeeling machine? Well, today in this explainer, we're diving deep into a beautifully grim, dark, gothic fable. We're going to explore what happens to a society that killed its gods, only to find that instead of ultimate liberation, they inherited their mechanical rigor mortis. It's a pretty heavy, fascinating look at what happens to the human spirit when the sacred collapses, leaving us trapped in a hardened industrial prison. To really set the scene, I want you to picture this. Imagine a madman holding a flickering lantern, wandering through a decaying Gothic marketplace. He is obsessively scrawling these exact words in a frenzied blue ballpoint pen. He's desperately trying to warn anyone who will listen about the shadow of God. The old God is dead, sure, but humanity didn't step into some bright, glorious new dawn of freedom. Instead, as this chilling quote captures so perfectly, we took on the stiff, dead, mechanical remains of the very thing we destroyed. Think of it like this. We basically traded the comforting myth of a heavenly father for the sterile, absolute certainty of a cosmic clockwork. And, a cosmic clockwork is pure, precise logic. It keeps perfect time, day in and day out without fail. But the catch? It has absolutely zero meaning. There is no song left to sing. It's a universe of pure mechanics and complete emptiness, grinding the vibrant chaos of human vitality down into a cold, mechanical stasis. So, what does a person actually look like in this wasteland? Let's take a look at the physical embodiment of this shadow, starting with a figure known in this fable as the soothsayer. He is, essentially, the priest of the gears. The soothsayer is literally this stark monument of iron and bone. He's clad in segmented armor that's locked together by rigid gears, his shoulders are weighed down by grinding brass cogs, and his hollow chest is bound tight by heavy iron plates. But the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that these mechanical parts, they are not futuristic upgrades. They don't give him super strength or power. Instead, they act as a paralyzing weight. They perfectly symbolize a mind suffering from profound spiritual fatigue, totally trapped in mechanical, repetitive futility. This actually completely flips our modern idea of a cyborg on its head. If we look at the philology of the word itself, it stems from the Greek word kybernetes, which means steersman or pilot. But in this wasteland, there is no steering, the wheel is gone. Here, becoming a cyborg is a terminal diagnosis of absolute spiritual decay. It's the final, frozen state of a soul that has just given up and succumbed to passive nihilism. Active, vibrant self-creation is entirely replaced by the repetitive, hollow machinery of an industrial prison. Going back to our madman's frantic notebook entries, we see the horrifying truth behind the soothsayer's transformation. He stands beneath a Gothic archway as a self-made martyr who has calculated the exact, precise coordinates of his own desolation. I mean, look at this pathetic victory. He defeated his demons, yes, but only by turning himself into stone. He completely escaped the painful, chaotic process of dynamic growth, but only by choosing the absolute safety of a frozen, repetitive survival. Now, you might be wondering, is it just this one guy? Nope. Let's turn our attention away from the soothsayer for a moment and look at the regular city citizens, the modern thinkers, because we need to see how they mirror this exact same hollow internal state. This right here is the million-dollar question. What happens when a whole civilization spends centuries hiding its dark, chaotic instincts behind a facade of pure, objective logic? We call it the armor of rationalism. And sure, that sounds like a noble defense, but when it becomes a rigid, inescapable shell, we really have to ask what is quietly decaying underneath it. Just look at the contrast between the outside and the inside. Behind the boastful exterior lies a pretty horrifying internal reality. On the outside, we boast of an objective sight that sees through everything, right? But internally, the eyes are just blank, milky spheres entirely blind to their own decay. We clutch our chests in a mimicry of a heartbeat, but our fingers are just grasping cold, hard rivets. We fancy ourselves liberated minds simply because we no longer kneel to a traditional altar. But actually, scratch that. We do kneel. We've just swapped it out for the altar of the daily grind and algorithmic logic. Underneath all this armor is just a smooth, bald skull, cracking under the weight of thoughts it can neither synthesize nor escape. This mechanical aesthetic basically grinds all human values down into a sweet, gray dust. This quote captures the essence of that universal emptiness perfectly. Imagine offering a poisoned brew of stagnant, gray water and proudly claiming it to be the ultimate objective truth. It's a tasteless broth,
but it perfectly matches the monotonous rhythm of the silent factories around him, poisoning the wells of human endeavor and replacing any ounce of passion with flat, mechanical certainty.
Welcome to the mechanical graveyard. This brings us to the tragic diagnosis of the citizens living under this shadow of God, a group collectively known as the vanguard of the long-tired. The long-tired are the folks who have completely abandoned their will to power. And this brings us right to the root of the word nihilism, which comes from the Latin nihil, literally meaning nothing. By believing in nothing and losing their anchoring purpose, these citizens become as cold and unresponsive as the iron they forge. It's kind of like modern burnout or endless doom scrolling, just, wrapped in Victorian iron. They would much rather reside in a predictable, mechanical graveyard than ever have to face the terrifying, unpredictable storm of actual life. But here's the kicker. The cracks on their brows are the fault lines of this civilization. You simply cannot integrate iron into your flesh without your spirit eventually turning to stone. Okay, so things are looking pretty bleak. But as our explainer reaches its climax, we can't just leave you stranded in this graveyard. We have to search for the philosophical antidote to this hardened industrial prison. To actually escape the rigor mortis of passive nihilism and to break out of this brittle, ticking corpse of a society, one has to make a truly terrifying, profound choice.
And that choice is amor fati. It's a Latin phrase translating directly to the love of one's fate. This is the ultimate, absolute rejection of the cosmic clockwork. To cure that deep spiritual fatigue, you cannot just hide behind the armor of rationalism anymore. You literally have to strip away the iron plates and the grinding brass cogs and step willingly into the raw, dynamic vitality of the storm. It's all about trading that illusion of absolute safety for the dangerous, beautiful pain of dynamic growth. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. Take a moment to examine your own armor. Are you hiding behind a facade of objective logic, settling for the sterile certainty of the clockwork? Or are you willing to face the terrifying storm of your own self-creation? I really hope this explainer sparked your curiosity to dive even deeper into this dark, fascinating philosophy. And more than anything, I hope it challenges you to make absolutely sure your own life still has a song left to sing.